Hey there everybody, Eric from Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now today's video is very interesting to me. I am here to review the Tanev Family Knives or TFK T17. Now the T17 is my very own design. This is something I've been working on for over a year now and in the design and build process with the people at TFK for about 9 months. Now at this point I have the knife in my hands and I'm getting ready to review it. Now with that said, I will be reviewing this knife the same as I review all other blades. So I'll be looking at it very carefully and critically. And to be honest with you, I'll probably be even more critical of my own blade than I am of some of the other blades out there. So I'm going to break this review into 2 parts. First being a traditional tabletop review, taking a look at the overall fit and finish quality of the blade, the way it feels in my hand, and some of the design features. I'll stack it up against some other blades in a similar size class range and see how it kind of fits in the mix with other blades you're probably familiar with. Then from there, in part 2, we're going to do a full field test review. I'm going to really give this thing a good hard run for the money, make sure that it performs exactly as I hoped it would, and see at the end of this process if there's really any design changes I need to make. Now this is a big long process for me, and this is just the very beginning, looking at this blade, getting it in my hands, showing it to you, and getting through all these details. And if you're interested in what I'm about to talk about, do me a favor, stay tuned. So, TFK, Tanev Family Knives. I've been working with Tanev Family Knives for about 9 months now, and it all started a while back when I got my hands on some beautiful blades that they had constructed out of D2 tool steel. Now, 1.2379 is European standard D2 tool steel. Now, this is a European company, couple of brothers in a family-run business that builds some gorgeous blades. And I've managed to get my hands on a few of them, and at this point I have definitely fallen in love with their overall quality and craftsmanship to the point where I wanted my own blade built by these guys. So I do have 2 of my own T17 model here ready to take a look at. So we'll compare both of them and see how the overall fit and finish looks, see if it's consistent between the 2 models. Now there is one slight variation that I'll talk about when we get there, but we'll see if it's consistent from blade to blade. Now as we work our way down through these TFK models, here you will see the largest blade here. This here is the T17. The outer Limitless design T17. Now one of the design features that I absolutely wanted to go for was incorporating the TFK look and feel. So the handle is actually an upscaled version of the Peko and T7 handle. So very similar in overall shape, but upscaled for a larger knife. Again, this is exactly the same as a T7 handle, only oversized. Now you'll see, generally speaking, this blade is a nice size for a wilderness or survival blade. I wanted something that was a good overall size, capable of doing some good hard use, but yet at the same time nimble enough and small enough to be a quality carry in a hiking or backpacking situation. Now with that said, I opted to go with a nice leather pouch dangler. I do personally like a dangler sheath. I think it is a great design for the outdoor wilderness and backpacking situation. Now Kydex certainly could have been an option. However, I think a good quality leather dangler sheath is something that suits the average user. This is nice and slimline, sleek, and not overly large. There is not much in the way of extra fabric here, so I like the fact that this is very slim. And in fact, when you compare it to other sheaths, like say for example their T7, in some ways it is actually a little bit sleeker. Now they did a great job on both of these sheaths. A little extra detail did go into the T17, where you have the ability to add some lashings and also If you wanted to, you could use this on your belt without the D-ring and dangle style. I do also very much like the contrasting stitching in that toxic green, matching against the toxic green liners in the handle of the blade. So as we go through the details on the sheath, you'll see this has a beautiful finish, very even and nicely done. I do like a black leather sheath, and for me this is an absolute perfect addition and complement to the knife. Again, that toxic green stitching, perfectly done, very nice and even. The leather is nicely welted, generally very, very smooth and even. No uneven spots, no sections unglued, just great craftsmanship. And on the bottom, there is a little drainage hole, which is definitely a nice addition. Again, having that lashing point on the bottom of the sheath to allow you to either lash it to a pack or even around your leg. Just a nice little addition and gives it a little functionality and versatility. The TFK logo stamped so nicely on the side of this. I think I'm going to have to get myself a nice little Outer Limitless stamp for the outside of this sheath. Again, a D-ring and dangle style. They did a nice job with this. However, there is one little fundamental flaw that I see. And I think they did this pretty much to allow this to be a straight up belt carry style. So removing the overall dangler, allowing this to go on your belt. The idea that you would remove this and give it a little more flexibility. However, two things. One, they did a great job chamfering the inside of this so that as this is looped on the D-ring, as I show you here, it gives it a nice swinging and flexible capability. If that was squared off, it would not move nearly this nice. However, I think that this should probably be riveted permanently with the D-ring inside of this rivet here, with the idea being then you could simply slide this up and through your belt and snap it shut. This would be on here pretty much like this, and that would give you the flexibility to add it to your belt without needing to take your belt off. When it is done this way, you would be required to loosen your belt and slide it through here because the snaps would get in the way of the belt. If you were going to put your belt through this section, it would basically run too low. So in other words, you are required to remove your belt and feed it through here, which to me is a little bit of a downfall. Personally, where I want this to be a dangler sheath, I'd prefer this to be permanently affixed onto the D-ring and then to allow you to snap this over your belt without taking your belt off. But even with this in its current configuration, very nicely done overall and definitely some beautiful leather work.